There is now a petition to remove Sophie Cunningham from the WNBA. There is now a petition to remove her from the WNBA. Yeah. Yeah. It has 114 signatures.
Good evening. This is Basketball Top Stories, bringing you an in-depth look at a controversy that has taken on a life of its own, transforming Sophie Cunningham from a tough, sometimes overlooked role player into the unlikely centerpiece of a debate that's bigger than basketball, one that touches on fairness, officiating, loyalty, and how a single athlete can flip the entire narrative when the system looks the other way.
Can't keep my hands to myself. I mean, I could, but why would I want to?
Hey, Bree. That's a flagrant foul.
This was the most beast mode thing that I've seen a woman do in WNBA history.
Let's start with the spark. A petition started by a pocket of outraged fans who decided that Sophie's rough defense of her star teammate, Caitlin Clark, crossed a line that warranted her permanent removal from the WNBA.
Sophie Cunningham's response to all this, in terms of her tweets, like, if you guys didn't see Sophie Cunningham's retweets, Sophie Cunningham obviously responded with the shrug Instagram post, but has responded to the petition by just retweeting a freaking post about her jerseys being sold out. That is a response. That is quote tweeting her the petition. Like, that is the best way of going about it.
What began as a few 100 angry signatures quickly snowballed into headlines. But what no one expected was Sophie's response. Instead of backing down, she leaned in, posting unapologetic highlight clips and sharing a wry shrug on Instagram that said, "Without words, come get me if you dare," instantly reframing the petition from a threat to her career into the best free publicity she could ask for.
But I will say that when you are good at basketball, you're pretty, and you got grit, those three things make you bad to the bone. And I think this is one of it's new trends that's going on in the WNBA, in my personal opinion, is that not only will you be good at basketball, but you also, some of these women don't look like women, right? They used to look like dudes, but now they look like beautiful women that are playing basketball. And one thing I like about Sophie is that she's tough.
As that petition gained traction, Sophie did not flinch. She retweeted jokes, poked fun at the calls to ban her, and directed her energy where it mattered most, back on the court, where she continued to guard Clark like a human shield, taking hits, giving hits, and making sure opponents understood.
It was all game, folks. All game. Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever were getting checked. All game, the Indiana Fever were getting punked. All game, the referees let this physical style of basketball continue and continue and continue and continue and continue and continue. And eventually, Sophie Cunningham had enough. Oh yeah. Sophie Cunningham had enough, folks. Shout out to Sophie Cunningham. We wanted somebody like this that said, "I'm tired of this. I'm trying to step up. It's time to step up. We're not going to get punked anymore. We're not going to get pushed around anymore. We're not going to get treated like a little sister anymore, like a little brother anymore. We are going to start being the ones that say, you know what? We're not going to start the fight, but we damn sure will finish the fight."
That if the referees wouldn't protect the league's biggest rookie, then she damn well would. Consequences be damned. This bold defiance caught fire online. Within days, her jersey rocketed to the top of WNBA sales charts, even leapfrogging Caitlin Clark's, who has been the undisputed queen of merchandise this season, showing that fans, old and new, were not just buying into Sophie the player, but Sophie the protector, the woman willing to risk fines, fouls, and now her own reputation to keep the Fever from being bullied off the hardwood. Digging deeper, one can't ignore the real tension underneath. For weeks, everyone from ESPN analysts to casual viewers on TikTok have pointed out the rough, borderline reckless contact Clark has faced every game. Elbows to the ribs, shoulder, checks to the floor, hands to the face, and the infuriating trend of officials swallowing the whistle until the game's out of hand or worse, until Clark is seen wincing and slow to get up. This lack of consistent enforcement has sparked a quiet fury among players who see the injustice unfold night after night. And while many whisper about it, Sophie Cunningham is the first to stake her paycheck and reputation on saying, in effect, enough. This brings us to the night that poured gasoline on an already blazing story. After Clark took yet another blatant shove with zero call, Sophie responded by throwing her own shoulder. And just like that, the same fans who cheered. Hard defense when it targeted Clark decided Cunningham had become public enemy number one. But Sophie's refusal to issue an apology flipped the usual cancel script on its head. Instead of disappearing, she emerged bigger, bolder, and more unfiltered than ever, turning every tweet, meme, and replay into proof that she wasn't going to be intimidated off the court by hashtags and think pieces. Meanwhile, while the league's PR team scrambled to spin the growing tension, actual refereeing during games stayed exactly the same. Clark still hit the floor repeatedly. Sophie still stepped in repeatedly, and each night the question deepened. Why should players be forced to choose between letting their teammate get battered or risking ejection for doing the official's job for them? As this drama exploded, an entire new wave of casual fans discovered the fever not just for Clark's three-pointers, but for Sophie's hard screens, clipped sound bites, and a vibe that feels ripped straight out of a hockey enforcer's playbook. Messy, loyal, and unbothered by headlines. It's this collision of old-school physicality and modern fan culture that has made Sophie's highlights go viral. TikTok clips of her blocking two players at once, holding a rival in a headlock, and calmly resetting for a free throw have turned her into a folk hero in days, not months, and a petition designed to erase her is now pinned as Exhibit A in every clip praising her loyalty. Underneath this spectacle is a league wrestling with a double standard that has grown too obvious to ignore, a desire for tough, gritty basketball that somehow only punishes the players who don't have the media darling shield or superstar whistle privilege. Sophie Cunningham's real-time protest against that hypocrisy has pushed the WNBA's officiating inconsistency into the mainstream, with even non-sports outlets picking up the story because it taps into a bigger cultural question. When the system fails, do you go quietly or do you fight back so loudly they can't look away? For Cunningham, the answer was never in doubt. She fights. And she's fighting so well that her jersey now can't stay in stock. Her teammates are visibly emboldened, and fans from Indiana to nationwide sports bars are chanting her name as if she's the league's unofficial sheriff. But if you think this saga is wrapping up, think again. Insiders say the league office is quietly debating new guidelines for flagrant fouls, clearer standards for protecting high-profile rookies, and potential penalties for what they delicately call excessive retaliation. Though how they'll enforce that on a player who has turned retaliation into an art form is anyone's guess. In the meantime, Sophie remains unbothered, doubling down on her promise that if the referees can't keep Clark on her feet, she will. And if that means taking on petitions, fines, or even suspensions, so be it. So tonight, as her highlights keep looping and her jersey restocks vanish as fast as they hit the shelves, one thing is certain. They didn't cancel Sophie Cunningham. They created a lightning rod for a bigger reckoning about what tough basketball really means, who gets to play it, and whether loyalty to a teammate is worth the risk of being labeled a villain by those who would rather see the game played politely. And judging by the roar inside arenas and the endless comment threads online, fans have chosen their side, and for now, it's Sophie's side. This is Basketball Top Stories, bringing you the full story behind the headlines. If you stand with Sophie, drop a spicy Sophie in the comments. Subscribe for more deep dives. And stay tuned as we follow what might be the most important storyline shaping the future of the WNBA this season.